What's up with Jake and Fulton coming to you on a Wednesday? I got the date right today. We are almost halfway home for this week. Thank you so much for joining us on a very chilly and cold afternoon here in the capital city. Jake LeBon, Fulton Caster with you as we've got lots to discuss today on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, get to the K because it's going to be going away. Date to be determined. We'll get to that as John Sherman dropping some bomb knowledge yesterday. We'll also talk a little Kansas City Chiefs, little Champions Classic. I was right last night.
We were both right last night.
I was right last night.
We were both right.
We'll hear from head coach Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. We'll talk to Kellis Robinett. We got a lot to discuss on this edition of Mic'd Up. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. The Big O Tires text line, already proud of me, figuring out the date. Thank you very much, text line. I appreciate that.
Listen, sometimes days of the week are hard for Jake.
Sometimes it is, man. I'm telling you, when the wife is gone on work all week and you got work and the kids all by yourself and one of them's not feeling great, you don't know what day it is. And parents out there are going to be like, preach. Say it louder for the people in the back. That's what they're going to be saying out there. I know they got my back on that situation. Hit us up on Twitter at SportsOn580. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, 580, or SportsOn580, as well as YouTube.com/@SportsOn580. Very simple, very easy. Hit us up in the comment section, as well as give us a tweet or shoot us just a simple text from your mobile phone. I didn't think that this would be happening last night, but it did. I didn't think the very first thing that we would be discussing today on the show would not involve the Kansas City Chiefs.
Or heck, the Kansas Jayhawks.
But it did. At 4:45 yesterday, the owner of the Kansas City Royals, John Sherman, released a way too detailed letter that took way too entirely long to read. And he basically says, we are moving on from the K, and we are going to build a downtown ballpark. That is going to happen, and this is the first time in writing on the record that a downtown ballpark / project is going to happen.
Yeah, we'd all been assuming this was going to occur.
Yes.
This is there's no assuming. This is a 100%. They're going downtown. It's happening.
The question is going to be when, between now and 2030, when the lease runs out with the Royals at the Truman Sports Complex and the K, and where it is going to be. It is going to be somewhere downtown or near downtown. That is going to happen with the renovations and the money and the upkeep and all of that to keep Kauffman Stadium alive and rolling. It's going to cost too much. So they want to build a new ballpark, which is not a surprise because Kauffman Stadium in its, foundation is an old ballpark. It is. It was built in the 60s. And they went from Municipal, Stadium to the K, and they did the big giant renovation about 15 years ago, which was great. Love it. I love the K. If they wanted to choose to stay at the K, I would be all for it. I would not be upset about it. I think the K is beautiful. I love going to the K, and many people like going to the K. Players like playing at the K, except for July. Then it's too hot. But overall, the K has been good. I am for this. I am pro move the stadium downtown. I am. Some people are not. I break this whole entire thing down into two categories. Financially, and then atmospherically, if you will, which is kind of the game day vibe.
Yeah.
But financially, this is a $2 billion project. It is not stadium. It's a project. So it combines everything because they want to do what a lot of teams are doing, what the Guardians have done. The best example is Target Field. Target Field and Coors Field to me. Now, Coors is different because it was built a while ago.
Yeah.
But that's what you're aiming for. I've been to Target Field. I've been to Coors Field. I've never been to whatever the hell they're calling it there at Cleveland. But Target Field, where that place is located, it's fantastic. It's downtown, a lot of things going on, places that just everything. Hotels, apartments, condos, restaurants, activities, all that kind of stuff. Same thing at Coors, okay? It's a lot of fun. But they're going to use taxpayer money, and they're going to get money from the state, and it's going to be in Missouri. We know that for sure. It's going to be in Missouri. It's going to be around downtown. I hate having taxpayer-funded stadiums for two main reasons. One, John Sherman and his group have the money to do this. They do. And even if you get money from the state, that's still coming from us, all right? That's still coming from, and when I say us, I mean, personally, it doesn't affect me at all.
Yeah, not specifically us. We don't live there, but yeah.
Screw you, Jackson County taxpayers. Pay for that stadium that I'm going to benefit from. I don't give a damn, right? No, because taxpayer money is wrong, and they can do it themselves because here's the thing. They try to use this spin stuff in here in this 3-page letter that John Sherman writes. He's like, yeah, it's going to create 20,000 jobs and 1.4 billion in labor income and 2.8 billion in economic output. All that's just PR spin. Here, you ready for this? You ready? Here's a wild thought. Why do you need taxpayer money if you want to be a steward or a part of the community? All that is PR spin to be like, hey, look what I'm doing. Look what I am going to do for you. This is a business. Business first and foremost. If it wasn't a business, then John Sherman would go out and buy Carlos Correa and Jacob deGrom and have a winning baseball team. It's not. He doesn't like losing money. That's why he's not buying all of these baseball players who can win them games. This is a business first. This is all PR spin for everyone in Jackson County to be like, oh, well, it's going to help us out in the long run. Well, it could help you out in the long run, and you don't even have to pay for it. The amount of money that John Sherman and the owners are going to make off of this stadium that taxpayers are going to pay over half for, and we know that because look what happened at Orchard Park with Buffalo. I mean, it's happened. They're going to get $1 billion of taxpayer money from the city, from the state combined, all that kind of stuff. Do you know how much money John Sherman is going to make because of this new stadium? It's going to be truckloads and truckloads and truckloads. And this is how they're spinning it. Hey, we're going to get all of this. You don't know that. You don't know that that's the case. Like, that's the thing that bothers me so much about this situation. Like, it really, like, and I'll compare it here locally. You ready for this? I'm going to compare it locally. Okay. Here in Topeka, last Tuesday when we voted, there was the Gage Park Zoo sales tax, right? You could vote yes, you could vote no. I'm going to tell you, I voted yes. Here's the reason why. I love the zoo. I have 2 little kids. More stuff at the zoo makes my life better. I think zoos kick ass. I know a lot of people there at the zoo because they've come here. I've got to hold alligators and all that kind of stuff. Zoos are great. I hope they get more animals. I think zoos are fantastic. Miss me with the whole they deserve to be free. Look, I voted yes. So, Jake, why aren't you, look at what's going to happen to downtown Kansas City and how vibrant and how excited you are. That's because the zoo's ownership isn't worth $2 billion and they can pay for it themselves. The zoo needs some help. So they're saying to the city of Topeka, hey, help us out. John Sherman doesn't need any help. He doesn't. He's a billionaire, and he's got all sorts of money. What has he got? 30 people in the ownership group. We're talking like J.E. Dunn Construction, which is a $1 billion company as well. Like, he doesn't need that. That's completely different. Completely different. So that's the thing that bugs me about the whole, well, hey, look what we're going to do. We're going to generate all of this. Well, you could do it yourself and generate it all by yourself. And then you could actually be, well, look, we're trying to do this, a joint community partnership. But it's going to pass. Mm-hmm. It's going to pass.
Public-private stadiums will forever be the way things are done, and they will always pass. And at this point, we can complain about it all we want, and we will, because truly, we should not be footing the bill for billionaires' projects.
No.
But
that's
the way it is.
That's how the rich stay rich, right? Yeah. Tell me something that's different, but if rich people do it, but poor people don't, paying your taxes. Oh, if you find ways to get out of paying your taxes as a rich person, ooh, you're smart. You don't pay your taxes as a poor person, oh, you're pathetic, low-life loser. Oh, but a rich guy who has an accountant who is like, yeah, we're going to skirt the rules by all this type of stuff, that's considered smart and advanced. You know what I mean?
No, it's cheating on your taxes.
Yeah. So,
no matter which way you slice it.
But
notwithstanding, it's going to happen that way.
It's going to happen.
We're going to complain about it. We're going to be annoyed by it. It's happening, though.
It's going to happen. Now, I am for it. I just wish you'd pay for it yourself, because that's the financial side of things. Now, let's go to the atmospherical side of things. If you've never been to a downtown ballpark,
man, you don't know what you're missing.
It is a lot of fun.
It's so much fun.
There are two misconceptions about downtown ballparks, and this is the most that I have heard about moving from the Truman Sports Complex down to downtown. There are two things when it comes to the other side of it. One, parking, and two, tailgating. All right? Here's the thing. Parking is not going to be that bad. It's not. There's plenty of parking downtown.
Truly is.
They're going to add parking, okay? It's not like they're just going to be like, oh, we're going to build this giant stadium and not add parking. They're going to add some parking. Here's the other thing. It's not like y'all showed up to the K every damn game anyways, all right? The average at the K was probably like 16,000 people, all right? Don't act like don't act like there's 70,000 showing up at Arrowhead for the K on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday or a Friday or a Saturday or a Monday. There's really going to be 3 days where it's going to be maybe a problem parking. And I stress maybe. And that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I'll also add this, and John Sheeran put this in his letter. And when it comes to the stuff they plan on doing, it's all kind of maybe still at this point. If they truly are committed to it, they also noted that they would want to increase the availability and the accessibility of public transit. And that's the thing you do at downtown ballparks, is you just invest in your public transit infrastructure, and you're parking like you go, man, we have to park so far away. But it's designed in such a way that you don't walk to the stadium. You just ride the very, very usually often good public transit system, drops you off at the stadium, have a good time, then it'll drop you back off.
Have you ever gone to a game at Coors or Target or even Busch Stadium?
I haven't been to any of those. The closest I've been to a downtown stadium field was I went to Wrigley.
Okay. It ain't that far to walk, all right?
One, it's just none of those places are far to walk. And then I know Wrigley's public transit system is much different than what Kansas City would do, because Chicago has more of an in-city transit system. But it was we parked far away. But we parked right next to a train stop, hopped on it. I chilled out on a train for like 15, 20 minutes. Easy, convenient ride. Dropped down in front of Wrigley, had a good time. Hopped back on it, drove back, got to my car, no traffic. Like, I get people's thoughts of, and the other thing I will say to people is this, if you want to bring up parking. Is parking really that great at the Truman Sports Complex right now?
You got to walk away anyways.
You walk a country mile, and then leaving sucks. Like, that's my thing. And it is valid to wonder, going into a technically more congested area, about parking and vehicles, accessibility, and stuff like that. I
think parking is so overblown.
It is, because I don't think enough people realize that parking currently sucks at Truman. Like, Parking at the Truman Sports Complex is the worst part of going to a Royals or a Chiefs game. It's the worst part for either game.
No, some would argue the play on the field for the Royals.
Well, okay, that's different. I say outside of the on-field product, parking at that place is awful.
The second misconception is tailgating. Oh, well, we're a tailgating. Look what we do in the parking lots and all that kind of stuff. You ready for this? This wild concept right here. You ready for this, Fulton? All right. You can still tailgate where you park at.
Yeah.
So you park. Let's say they put it somewhere. You park. You pay your $20 to park. Okay. Guess what? It costs $20 to park right now.
Yep.
You pay your $20.
Same diff.
There's nothing that stops you from pulling out a table, putting a bunch of stuff on it, standing there, putting out your bags or your cornhole tables and playing. You can still do that. It's just you're gonna be not next to 50 other people next to you. You can still tailgate. There's not a rule that says, you cannot tailgate.
I will also add this here, and I know I'm in a minority on this subject. Man, do I feel Kansas Cityans overblow the coolness of tailgating. They are obsessed with tailgating, and I'm sorry, I don't get it.
Like
I don't get it.
I like to tailgate. I don't do it very often, obviously. But no, I get tailgating. It's fun, You get there, you eat, you hang out. I mean, it's like a party before the game. I get tailgating. I love tailgating. It's a lot of fun. But you can still do it.
Yeah.
You can still do it.
Hell, take all that money you want to spend on your beer and your food and your supplies and go to one of the many possible local bars that will be built right across the street from the stadium. And then guess what? You're investing in local community by doing that too. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I go to a sporting event to go to a sporting event. I don't need to drive there 3 hours early to drink beer.
I get it. You are more about the on-field product. Most people are about the whole entire, aspect of it. Yeah. From the Big O Tires text line, Jackson County voters rejected the mobile roof that would have brought KC the Super Bowl. Don't count the vote before it's in. I will always count the vote before it's in.
When it comes to building a new stadium,
I'm with you. I would vote no if I was in Jackson County. I would. The Royals ain't going anywhere. John Sherman's a Kansas City guy. He's not gonna up and move the Royals. This isn't like St. Louis. This isn't the Raiders and Mark Davis. They're staying in Kansas City. All right. Now, if you want the to do a little bit of taxpayer funded money, I'm okay with that. But paying $1 billion, get out of here.
It shouldn't be 50-50 and it shouldn't be 60-40.
That's the thing that bugs me. Also from the Big O Tires text line, if owners don't start paying for better players for the team, nobody will want to watch them, whether it's at the K or a new stadium. Yeah, you want to know the best way to get things going, John Sherman? Win. Start winning. Because nobody's going to say, yeah, I'll help pay for a new stadium when your team loses 98 games every damn year.
That's true.
Like I said, if this wasn't a business, he would go out and buy Jacob deGrom and Carlos Correa and Clayton Kershaw, and we'd win the World Series. Very simple.
You got to make money.
Coming up next, we'll have another edition of You Did What? Here on Mic'd Up. All right, a little edition of You Did What? Fulton, what do you got?
Mine's very simple and a rare positive. You did what? Bryce Harper is set to undergo elbow surgery today that could be akin to Tommy John that might make him miss a full season. While having this injury, Bryce Harper also hit 360 with almost 8 home runs in the postseason. Bryce Harper, with basically one working arm, was the best hitter on the planet and almost won a World Series. That's all. That's insane.
Was he mostly a DH this year?
He did. He had to play DH because he couldn't throw. Like, he played DH because he couldn't throw.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was wondering, because he's a pretty good outfitter. He's got a really good arm.
Yeah.
So that makes sense now.
But with a bad elbow, he was raking. That's awesome. It's insane.
That sucks if he misses the whole year.
I hope he doesn't, but it's not good. His elbow is not great.
Well, yeah, he's having surgery.
Yeah.
Coming up, we're going to get to the Champions Classic. Should be a lot of fun. We'll talk KU Hoops next.
A stable nitrogen.
Up on this Wednesday, Jake LeBon, Fulton Caster with you. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Let us know your thoughts on the Royals and the new stadium heading downtown at some point in time. We don't know when, and we don't know where. There are a couple plots that developers have looked at, but not an official spot. But it is going to happen. So the K will be going away, whether it be in 5 years, 7 years, or 9 years when the lease runs out at the Truman Sports Complex in 2030. So at the end of the 2030 year, the Royals will be somewhere else. And you got to figure it's going to take 3 years to build the ballpark and the area. So they need to have it done, set up, ready to go by 2027 would be my guess, so they don't miss anything. That is kind of the date that you're probably looking towards. But let's talk a little hoops last night. Fulton, you would be very proud of me.
Yeah, KU hater LeBon's finally left the building.
No, that has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm not proud of you. What should I be proud of you about? I
you
should
don't
ask
even
that
know.
first. I shouldn't rush to conclusions.
Wow. That's how it is?
Jake, what should I be proud of you about?
I stayed up and watched the whole game.
I'm proud of you. I will say,
after the double overtime disaster.
Yeah,
I now hope Kentucky and Michigan State lose every damn game.
That game was a travesty.
That game was fantastic down the stretch by Michigan State.
Yes.
Coach Cal at the end of in his press conference, yeah, the inning's on me. Yeah, no kidding.
Well, yeah.
No kidding.
I mean, also, that ending's on Oscar Sheboy. Like, that's not even coaching with how good of a player Sheboy is. If Sheboy just plays that end of regulation baseline set properly, Michigan State probably never forces OT.
Yeah, you're right.
But because Oscar Sheboy played the worst angle I've ever seen.
Yeah, not good. No, Michigan
They get to go to OT. And then I will give Tom Izzo credit. That end of first overtime last thing I played with the double inbounds and going, that was genius.
That was well done.
That was well done, Tom Izzo.
So I'm
proud of you. I was listening. I did see you make a tweet at the end of the game. I was like, man, Jake's it's 11:45 and Jake's still awake.
Yep.
Dang.
Yep. So I did. I am proud of you. I wanted to watch the end of the game, but KU experience and knowledge always triumphs over youth and exuberance. That is what has occurred and will continue to occur time and time again. Experience and knowledge and having your 6'8" freshman turn into Kevin Durant the last 2 minutes, because that is what happened in this game. Duke was young, inexperienced for the most part. They didn't use their size to their advantage in the beginning. They didn't. But then in the second half, the first 10 minutes, they did. Duke really started to pound it inside. They started to say, hey, KU, you can't throw the ball in the damn ocean. We'll just funnel you right in to our giant towers of people in Lively and Filipowski who are going to block every shot with their armpit, and good luck. Like, Duke made a great adjustment. They really, really did. But then KU made plays. They needed somebody to step up. It was Jalen Wilson and the Pips. That's basically what it was. It was Jalen Wilson. That's the disrespect to Kevin McCullough, because Kevin McCullough offensively played okay, especially in the first half.
But Kevin McCullough defensively was.
But we're talking offense.
Yeah, we are talking offense.
This
That's
has
true.
nothing to do with defense.
That's true.
The entire game, they were very, very good defensively.
Yeah. Offensively, it was heavily Jalen Wilson. He had to do so much work.
Only Jalen Wilson. And then you got a little bit of Kevin McCullough. But Grady Dick is going to be the factor on this team, because you saw it in last night's game. You have no offensive threat in KJ Adams except for offensive rebounding. That's it. That's all he can do. And maybe, what do we say, 4 points where a guy drives in, dumps it off to him, and he lays it up and in.
Yeah, he's not ever creating his own shot.
No, that'll never happen.
I think that's the best way to put it. He will never really create his own shot. He can be a threat as a roller, because he scored more than a few times as a roller.
So that to me is a negative on the offensive side. They also get next to nothing offensively from DeJuan Harris. Now, if he can just shoot the ball, that's all I need DeJuan Harris to do, is shoot the ball. And DeJuan Harris didn't shoot the ball. He got 6 points. Now, I'm not saying DeJuan Harris is not an important aspect of this team. DeJuan Harris at the end of the game was terrific defensively.
Yeah.
He was. This is just on the offensive side of things. He had 10 assists in the game. He's dishing things out. That is something. But if he can be semi-option shooting the ball and scoring it, that will make this team, honestly, one of the 5 favorites to win the national title again, despite all the turnover, because Jalen Wilson played very, very well. Kevin McCullough is athletic enough and can shoot it well enough that he is a viable option. It comes down to Grady Dick. Grady Dick had 7 points through 38 minutes of that basketball game. 37 minutes. 37 of that minutes of that basketball game. And then he showed you why he was a top 15 player coming out of high school and regarded as one of the better scorers coming out of high school. He's got just a sliver of space, that quick release, up and good. We know Bill Self says he has a chance to be one of the best shooters that we've ever had. Splash. Then his athleticism, backdoor cut, dunks it on the alley-oop. Terrific. Then, overplay. I'm going to take it down the left side of the lane, falling down, flip it up with the left hand, off the window, good. 7 points in 2 minutes. He had 7 points in this game through the first 37 minutes. He put up 7 points in 2 minutes, and that's the difference. That's what you need from Grady Dick. I think McCullough, because of that experience and knowledge, he's going to get you 10 to 14 points a game. I think Jalen Wilson has to score around 17 to 18 a game, and I think he can. And then you've got Grady Dick. Like, those are your 3 scorers. That's what you have to do offensively. Defensively, holding Duke to 64 points is a tremendous effort, despite having KJ Adams and basically just a body who is big in Uday for 13 minutes. Like, they've got nothing inside. I mean, nothing inside size-wise. But they were able to make it work. They were able to gang rebound and team rebound in this game well enough to get the job done. And that is what makes this team so dangerous, is they've got 3 veteran guys in Wilson, Harris, and McCullough. You've got an X factor who can heat it up. That's why you call him the microwave, because when you put him in there, he's going to heat up and it's going to be electric. It will. He's going to drop a 30 burger this year in a game, because he's going to make like 8 threes, because someone's not going to guard him, or he's just going to go berserk, because that's offensively what Grady Dick can do, because he can shoot it so quickly. So what do you have to do? You have to get out on him, and you have to get out on him quick. But he's also good enough and quick enough and savvy enough to put the ball on the deck, like he did on the very last drive of the game with the left hand. Like, that was the difference. You had the youth finally showed up when you needed him most. Grady Dick is going to be so important to this team. he is. He is going to be like the Josh Jackson of this team, because you had Devontae Graham and you had Frank Mason, who are going to be your leaders, right? That's McCullough and that's Jalen Wilson. You got to have somebody who can do a lot of things, and Grady Dick can do a lot of things. I'm gonna need more than one rebound out of you, Grady Dick, at 6'8". I am. That ain't gonna get it done. But there's a lot to like about this KU basketball team. It really is. Now, I would not want to play this Duke team come March. No way. Because one, they didn't have maybe their best player on the floor. We got to remember, 6'6" wing, Dariq Whitehead did not play.
Not having Dariq Whitehead changes the calculus.
That definitely does. And all of those young guys, like you can see Lively, you can see Filipowski, you can see Mitchell. They are crazy young, and it showed in this game. It did.
Mm-hmm.
Come the end of the year, adding Whitehead a full year schedule, this Duke team to me is they can win the national title, or they can get bounced in the first round, depending upon how well these young freshmen develop. They really, really will, because I think Roach is a good veteran, but right now they are too young, and guys like McCullough, guys like Jalen Wilson were able to show their experience and their knowledge and their size and strength a little bit more. But this is a good win for KU, and the reason why it's a very good win for KU is come March 10th, this will be line number 1. Non-conference wins, beat Duke. If they beat Kentucky, that'll be line number 2, beat Kentucky. Like, this is a good win for KU. I didn't think KU would end up with the 1 seed. I didn't. But this definitely helps you get a 1 seed, because their schedule, non-conference wise, is not crazy difficult outside of 2 more games. Indiana and Kentucky. I mean, Southern Utah, nah. NC State, nope. Texas Southern, Seton Hall, not going to happen. Missouri, even though that's at Missouri, so that might be a little bit more different at the Mizzou Sports Arena. But the game last night, Jalen Wilson has a chance to go full on Ochai Agbaji. Come back for your senior year, be the leader, be the man, take all the shots. And if you think about it, he did take the majority of the shots. Where did I see this at?
I will say this real quick on their non-conference schedule. There's a chance for it. You got to remember, the Battle for Atlantis field that they're playing in for their Thanksgiving tournament
that's not
is
listed.
big. Like, their NC State game is set. They could play. USC's in there. They're going to be they're still one of the, are they an elite team? No, Jake. Are they better than average? Yes. USC's not bad.
USC lost to Florida Gulf Coast. Get out of here.
Fair enough. I honestly didn't know they lost to FGCU this year.
Yeah.
Tennessee's in there. Tennessee usually plays pretty well.
Okay.
Wisconsin, that's always an nowadays, because they're not what they used to be, but you never know. Now, Dayton did just drop a game, but they're still one of the better mid-majors usually that are existing. They lost a game to UNLV, but Dayton's usually one of those better teams. And then BYU is kind of and Butler's kind of
Their schedule sets up well for them, this non-conference, to put them in a great spot if they take care of business in the Big 12. But Jalen Wilson shot it 26 times.
Yeah, that's too much.
That doesn't happen in a Bill Self offense. It really, really doesn't. The fact that they got 67 shots up, that shows you how the pace of this game. The pace of that game was breakneck. It was up and down. And that's the reason, but they have no bench. Like, they've got bodies, but you're gonna need the guys off the bench to actually shoot the basketball. I mean, they didn't really have a lot there, but that's starting 4.
Mm.
And I'm including Harris because he is a weapon defensively. He really, really is. But McCullough, Harris, Dick, and Wilson that's a tremendous 4. A tremendous 4. It's unfortunate they just don't have a big man, and maybe they can develop one.
And that's where I'd go. What I saw in that game against Duke was they have potential at the 5. KJ Adams should be a bit more offensively than I'm used to seeing. It's still not great because it's so much dependent on being a roller and, getting in action with other things. But he did score 8 points on 4-4 shooting to go along. That's what you need. Now, you would like more than 2 rebounds out of KJ Adams. Has always been an issue. But, he did better than you would think. What I saw out of Zuby Ejiofor and Ernest Uday, one, they combined for 6 blocks. KU's got a pair of rim protectors. But the problem is, man, do they just not know what they're doing.
And that's going along the lines with Duke's young guys.
It's you hope by the end of the season they've learned. Yes. And I think that to me right now is KU's number one thing. It's getting either or both of Uday and Ejiofor to learn what they're doing. Because you watch them play, and they have talent. I think Uday has the higher ceiling, but Ejiofor might be better right now. But they both they play tremendously hard. They're incredible. They're big dudes. And they kind of just have this very odd feel for the game. But what was happening against Duke was just, you could tell they're just raw. I mean, there are multiple times that you would have those guys on the floor and both guys would go chasing a block at the same time. They'd miss it, and then there's a wide open offensive rebound. Like, you need to be smarter about chasing the block and knowing when to just grab a body. A couple of times, Ernest Uday gave up an offensive rebound because he was caught ball watching and not finding a body. Like, those are coachable things. And knowing Bill Self, thinks he will get there and understand if they're going to keep being on the floor. But that is what I learned from watching this game is KU's biggest X factor this year. If they can just get Uday or Ejiofor to really learn what they're doing, that is massive because they have
to me
the right skill sets.
They raise the ceiling.
Yeah,
that's what they do.
Yeah.
But the most important guy on this basketball team is Grady Dick.
Yeah, great.
It is going to be Grady Dick because I expect Wilson to be really good this year.
Yeah, he'll keep it up.
I do. That's why I think he has a chance to be Ochai Agbaji, where he comes back for his senior year. You're 6'9". Now KU has never shot the ball well in that arena for whatever reason. I don't know.
Sight lines or whatever. They cannot seem to shoot in that arena.
And Duke didn't either.
No one could shoot. No one could shoot in that game.
Duke sucked as well. So I see, if KU, KU just makes a couple of their threes, man.
I'm just kind of tossing that 3-point game out the window.
Well, no, but I'm saying the people who are saying,
I'm with you. Yes.
If KU just made a 3-pointer, they'd be blowing out Duke. Well, if Duke made a 3-pointer,
they would be blowing
out KU. So both of those go that. So it honestly cancels out.
It's a wash.
So it'll be take that game out because I mean, this is not a 1-game sample size that KU has struggled to shoot in that building. This has been like a 5-game sample size.
Yeah, for some reason, that specific building in Indianapolis, they can't shoot it.
Well, and not many people, because Duke struggled, Kentucky struggled, Michigan State struggled. So that's not a big surprise. But Wilson should get it done. McCullough should get it done. Harris, defensively, Wilson is a rebounding machine. McCullough is the tough check. We know what DeJuan Harris can do. KJ Adams can defend.
Yeah, he can. That kid defend his tail off.
And Duke did show that KU, now it goes back to me where if they can develop a big guy, because the big men for Duke, if they play again, I think KU is going to be in a lot of trouble because they're going to figure out a way to get those big men on KJ Adams to play. I think Jalen Wilson can hold his own in there, but you can't risk it because you can't get him in foul trouble.
Yeah.
So that's why McCullough and Wilson, because they're so veteran guys, they've been through the block. But Grady Dick is he's probably only going to be here for a year, folks. All right. So don't I would be surprised if he shows up as a sophomore at KU. So enjoy Grady Dick as you can, because there's not many 19-year-old kids who can shoot the three at a 40% clip and then drive to the hoop and dunk on people.
Yeah, Grady Dick offensively is something special. What he needs, though, he's got to improve defensively. Because part of the reason he got pulled at part of that game was Duke was hunting him on the offensive end. They were looking to go at Grady Dick because he was having issues defending. I think he'll get better at that. I truly do, because overall, Bill Self players get better defensively or they don't get to play. Like, ask Remy Martin. Remy Martin didn't get a place at some injury matter too, but I mean, they're part of the reasons why there were certain times Remy wasn't on the floor. There's a reason sometimes Bill Self would go to Juwan Harris over Remy. It's because he knew Juwan would defend.
I think he will get better because he's too athletic and too long. I think they'll get that figured out.
He will.
But if he plays well, this KU team is going to be very, very difficult. They'll
be a tough out
to guard. They will. And I didn't think that was a terrible game to watch. Now, there was a stretch where it wasn't great.
That's college basketball in a nutshell, though. That's every college basketball game ever.
And for some odd reason, apparently charges happen more often than blocks. Now, I didn't realize college basketball players were so good defensively to always be in the right spot at the right time and to draw that many charges, because that's laughable.
College basketball officials are addicted to calling the charges. I will say this, though. A lot of the ones called on Duke were the right call. There were more than a few that it was both negligible centers on legal guarding position, but more than a few times Duke was called for it. They were dropping shoulders into chest. That's a charge.
The very first two in the first half were just
that'll give you
laughable.
Those the ones in the second half, I would say, are more correct. Those first couple on Duke in the first half early on, that very first one Juwan Harris drew, questionable.
No, it was
very questionable.
No, it was not questionable. It was an awful call, just like the flop call was terrible. What's funny? You ready for this?
Oh, that flop call was bad.
The flop call was bad because in the NBA, that's a foul on KU because they undercut him and he landed on their feet.
That should have been a foul on Uday.
They call it a flop on.
I can't believe. I still cannot believe they called
and Robert Ayers are awful.
Yeah, they sit here and actually called a flop on a shooter who landed on the defender's foot.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. Uday should have been called for a foul. That's a foul and a half.
Yeah.
That's 3 free throws, folks. That's a foul and a half.
It's terrible. Terrible.
Well, because college basketball officials are sometimes not the best.
But the game I thought was entertaining. I enjoyed it. It came down to the very end. Two good teams. John Shire looks like he's 12.
He does.
And it was fun. And that was a good game to watch. Both of them, honestly, because the last finish, I never wanted overtime to never happen more in my life. Coming up, we will get to Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes. Everyone loves the list, and Kellis Robinett. Number 2 here of Mic'd Up with Jake and Fulton. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday edition. Jake LeBon, Fulton Caster with you. Leading into the Chris Kleiman show. Talk a little K-State football this evening. We got 580 Sports Talk coming up from 3 to 6. A lot to get to here the last 2 hours of this edition of Mic'd Up. We're going to hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. They spoke to the media today, and everyone loves a list. Here's the thing. As I was going through this topic, it's not as known anymore because of streaming.
I would agree with that.
So the topic is as seen on TV, the best as seen on TV products. Okay. The amount of things in college that was like $9.99 or $19.99 that my friends and I bought while drunk.
But remember that they will toss in a second, and all you have to do is pay a separate shipping and handling.
Yeah. Or if you called within 5 minutes, you got 2 of them. And we're like, hey, we each get one. It costs $20. It's $10. I got $10. But because of, Netflix and Hulu and YouTube, there's not as many of those.
People are missing out on the beauty of infomercials.
Yes. Rest in peace, Billy Mays, man.
Man, best TV pitch man ever.
So we're going to go with as seen on TV, the best products. Now, you ready for this? I own all 4 of mine that I'm going to list.
Okay.
Should we make the rule that you have to have at least owned it?
We can't make it that rule because then I have nothing I can put out there.
So how do you know it works?
I don't.
You've never bought anything on a must-see.
Nope.
But okay, even if it wasn't through the television.
No, I've never been like, oh, I saw this on TV. I'm at the store now going to buy it. Never.
You've never done that?
I don't buy a lot of things. I have I have the bare needs of what I need to survive. I don't have much extra. I have things that like, man, I would think about buying that. And then I don't because I'm like, I don't need to spend money on this. But I think about it.
Hey, real quick. Some of them are fantastic. All 4 of mine. Fantastic. I used it the other day, in fact.
Okay. I will say the ones on my list are all things that honestly, if I had the extra money lying around, I'm like, man, I just want to buy this thing that I may never use, but it could be useful.
I use one item every week. We got to get you, Fulton. 2023 is the year of expansion for Fulton Castro.
This one's not expansion. This is just I don't spend my money on a lot of things. I'm very frugal. The right word? I think that's the right word.
Or cheap.
Yeah.
We got the 2020
money, man.
2023 is going to be the year of expansion for Fulton Castro. All right, I'm feeling that. Like once a month or once a week, we're gonna expand. We're gonna get you to expand. All right.
Okay.
Like it's gonna be every Friday. What did Fulton do this week? We're gonna do 52 things next in 2023. I'm so excited about this.
Man, just let me live my life, which is a very basic and boring life.
But hey, all right. I hate the terms. I hate saying, well, we've always done it this way. Well, you can always make it better. Let's make Fulton Castro better. Every week, we got to expand our horizons, whether that be watch a movie you've never seen, try something that you've never seen, purchase something that you've never like. Are you with me?
Maybe.
You're with me. That's what we're gonna do. I can't wait. What is it? I mean, we're less than 2 months from starting this, Fulton.
About a month and a half.
I'm gonna put together 52 things.
27 will be such a new age for me.
I know. Look at that. You're gonna grow so much in 2023. I'm looking forward to this.
I wish I could grow in height.
That you can do that now. You can do that now.
I wouldn't. Speaking of that, though, I will say, as a man who is on the shorter side of the spectrum, I am what you would consider short based on national averages of adult men in the United States.
You're average.
I think 5'10" is about the average height now.
Yeah.
I'm 5'8".
Oh, okay. I thought you were taller than that.
No, I'm only 5'8".
Well, that's good for you. I thought you were taller though.
Thank you. Either way. There were reports coming out that apparently during the pandemic, when I was at home, guys were getting like leg lengthening surgeries to get taller. Let me be very clear. I will make jokes all the time about my height and how I wish I was taller, and that I bring the bell curve of height way down amongst the 580 sports team because Brendan and Jake are all the way up here. I would never pay money to get taller. I'm actually as much as I make the jokes, I'm very secure in my height at this point. I used to not be. I am now. The jokes are just because they're fun and they're entertaining. I would never spend currency to make myself taller. That is so stupid.
It looked like it hurt too.
It would. They break your legs.
Let's get to head coach Andy Reid. After hearing that just makes me, no, that's bad. Andy Reid met with the media today, gave a little injury update. No MVS. He's sick due to illness. No McCole Hardman and no Juju. But he'll give us a little injury report, and this is what head coach Andy Reid had to say.
All right. As far as the injuries go, McCole has the illness to his abdomen. He's getting better, but not back yet. 2 people in concussion protocol are Lamons and Juju, and then Scantling is just sick. He's got an illness. So Frank is back, which is a positive. And then we look forward to playing the Chargers. We know they're a good football team. They're getting some of their players back. We realize that. And so we'll have a good week of practice, get ready for them starting today. Time yours.
With Juju and understanding that he is in the concussion protocol, Coach, what's your outlook for him this week?
Yeah, I mean, you take it day by day, but we'll be cautious with it. We're not going to do anything that you shouldn't do according to what the data shows, and how he feels.
As a league, with the things that happened this year around, with the Tua situation, all that stuff, how much more cognizant are you guys of this than maybe you were 20 years ago when you started?
Yeah, I think the league does a great job. The one thing that amazes me about the league is they don't shy away from situations. So as tough as it can be, some people turn their back on things. I don't think the league does that. And this has been one of them. I mean, the time that we've spent at the owner meetings on protection for players, safety, in particular concussions. and soft tissue injuries. So I think it's come a long way. I think it will continue to develop as the helmets get better and the rules, the guys get used to the rules and the officials get used to officiating it and so on and so forth. So.
Coach, one of the things, just kind of following up on what you were just describing, Bill Belichick, I believe on Monday or Tuesday, talked about being able to utilize a challenge after the 2-minute warning. I believe you're on the competition committee. What are your thoughts on that? Because and I think it's coming from some of the missed calls that the officials may have missed over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm on the coaches committee, not the competition committee, but we deal with that stuff. I don't have one way or the other. I haven't talked to Bill, so I mean, but normally if he says something, he's put some thought into it, and it's normally a pretty good idea. So, it's maybe something we look at in the offseason.
Sunday, you mentioned a MRI for Wiley. I guess he's back to practice, so everything was okay with his elbow.
Yes. Yes. They braced it. You'll see him, he has a brace on it, but he feels pretty good.
Coach, I know you guys have always been aggressive, and we've asked Dave this a couple of times when he's been available. Dave told you like to be aggressive on the returns and everything when it's possible, but is the game evolving to where the kickers, the punters, the coverages are so good that, you just can't have the kind of returns, the kind of success you've had in years past?
Yeah, some of it's rules too, and they change to try to protect the guys. A lot of injuries that have taken place in the kicking game, so they move that around. Now, Dave's a good one to talk to because he's on that committee where they talk about all that stuff. So, but I still think it's a viable part of the game, and I still think you make plays there when you have the ball, the opportunity to block, tackle. I mean, those fundamentals become very important on special teams. The return, your blocking in space has to be very good. That takes skill and work. So, and we need to get better at it.
Sorry, does your philosophy change with the way Patrick has evolved and has, effective as he's been? Do you okay, we want to be aggressive now, we can dial it back a little bit because we've got a guy that we really trust under center?
Maybe in certain cases. It'd be whatever situation, specifically if I say no and we do something, then I look like a fool up here. But, there's certain times when you're going to be a little bit more aggressive than others.
Andy, how did Clyde take his lower amount of playing time the other night? And what'd you tell him about that and his role going forward?
What I love about Clyde is Clyde wants to play. So I wouldn't expect anything less than that. How he handled it, though, was like a pro, but he wants to play. And I would think less of him if he didn't want to play. So it's the way that rotation goes. It's a crazy thing because we don't go in thinking that. But because of the way the series worked, short series here, and he gets in for 3 plays and he's out. We don't have that many 3 and outs as an offense, and he happened to be in one of them. So the numbers got skewed, and it's kind of what happened with Pacheco, before that. So, well, we're working through it, and it's not because of his ability. I mean, that's not.
A different health and safety issue from concussions, but SoFi Stadium's turf has been in the crosshairs a lot. Where do you stand on artificial turf, natural grass?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I prefer natural grass. I've listened to all the studies, the density studies. I've seen all the different compounds that they put into I still like grass, natural grass. The way our league does it, I mean, I've seen some fields that I'd probably go get, let's go artificial on, but for the most part, the guys that take care of these fields in the league do a nice job. And the grass fields, I'm saying. And the turf, I mean, they make it as good as they can possibly make it with the turf stuff, with the artificial turf. But I would prefer regular grass.
Coach, I was going to follow up on Adam's question about the running back situation. It was reported that you all had interest in Eno Benjamin before the Texans. claim them off of waivers. Looking at that, if that were to be the case, and you can comment on that particularly, but if you were to bring another running back in, what's that say about Ronald Jones and his ability to be able to make the active?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that, so I honestly don't know anything about it. I know Brett looks at everybody, but everything, but I never heard that. I mean, we're good with what we have right there.
Was there any? What does he need to do? I guess to see the field. I know we haven't seen him play.
Yeah, so Ronald's a capable player, obviously, and it's the number. It all started back in training camp. I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. So when you kind of lose out on the spot, now you got to wait till somebody gets banged up or sick or something of that sort, and until you get in. I mean, you're not going to dress more than 3 of them normally, and but we feel very comfortable with him being in there too. So.
It sounds like MVS might be okay, but today you'll be rolling with Watson, Tony, and Moore. Just how confident in your depth of the receiver?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We've got a couple other guys. You've seen camp up in a few weeks. Not this past game, but 2 before that. So we know he can do it. Yeah, I mean we're fine.
Andy, in relation to you guys taking over the number 1 spot in the AFC, certainly a long way to go, but just wanted to backtrack to the offseason, the moves you guys made, obviously getting rid of a pretty high caliber player. Can you recall having a conversation with the team as far as, hey, the end goal doesn't change when you make a move like that? I mean, or was it just a natural thing? Or?
You know what I'm saying? I think the players know how we roll, and you don't really have to say that. And I'm glad he's having a good year. I mean, that's great for the National Football League. It's great for him and his family. So I'm happy for him, and that's the way we approach it. But we also have good players, and Brett does it as well as anybody. I'm finding people and bringing them in that he thinks will fit in the offense, defense, and special teams. So we have full trust in him as a coaching staff. But the guys that we've had here, man, we've loved having, and we want them to be able to make a living doing it and make as much money as they possibly can doing it. So if they go somewhere else, they go somewhere else, and then we'll get what we need and go roll.
We're sitting here in the middle of November. You guys have had a couple of dogfights with AFC West teams already this year. But if you win this game, you're 3 games clear of the Chargers. Are you surprised that that's how the division is shaken out so far this year?
Well, you're right at that time where, I mean, these games are so important. It's important for the Chargers, it's important for us, Denver, and the Raiders likewise. So that's the time of year you're in. And you got to make sure that you batten down the hatches, man, and get things, detail your work and don't leave anything uncovered there. So.
Last one, Herbs. Coach, on Juju Smith-Schuster, obviously there's a lot of controversy around that hit. Have you heard from the league clarifying whether it was a shoulder-to-shoulder hit or was a helmet-to-helmet hit?
No, I mean, I heard from the officials, but I haven't heard from the league yet. They'll give us our report here.
Would you hear from the officials?
It was shoulder. Yeah.
Or you talking about what?
During the game.
At the time?
Yeah, at the game.
Is it standard for the league too? And something, since that's become a big talking point around, is it standard for the league to reach out to you, or is that the kind of thing you have to reach out to them to get some kind of input?
Yeah, well, it goes both ways. Yeah, it goes both ways. But we have a form that we can fill out and ask questions. So.
Great, thanks, Coach.
Yeah. Okay.
That is head coach Andy Reid as he met with the media today. Coming up next, everyone loves the list as seen on TV. We'll get to that here on Mic'd Up. Everyone loves the list as seen on TV. All righty, Fulton. We've now found out that you don't own any of these products, but that's all right.
Yeah, I've never bought anything from as seen on TV ads, but all four of these things are things I would buy if it came down to, you know what? And some of these are things that I've wanted to buy, just have never gotten around to.
Okay.
Number 4 for me, those red coppers like skillet cooking pans that they say are perfectly non-stick.
Okay.
I would honestly consider buying one of
Okay.
those.
If you can please turn up my computer. This is way back in the day, but I bought this for my dad.
I wanna know, can you help me? Take me to the river.
Big Mouth Billy Bass. Hell yeah. Big Mouth. Yeah, we bought that for my dad when I was like a 6th grader.
I have to say this. I have to say this as we fade out Big Mouth Billy. I've never personally owned it. I've known people in my family that have owned that.
Oh, yeah.
And they're
we had
awesome.
It. We had
They
it.
are. But I never owned Big Mouth Billy Bass. Number 3 for me, honestly, I'd buy some OxyClean. Both because of Billy Mays' fantastic infomercial. Also, maybe I want to step up some stain fighting power with my laundry.
Okay. Number 3 for me, the furniture moving pads.
Oh, I should have thought of that. I have friends who have those. Those are massively awesome.
Yes, I own them. I used them last week.
Oh, man, I should have thought of that.
I've used my top 3 all within the last week. Number 3,
Okay.
though,
They're good
furniture moving
purchases.
pads. Really good. Easy to move, all that kind of stuff. So simple, so easy.
Those are good purchases. Number 2 for me, give me some Flex Glue. All the Flex Paste line of products I think are good. Give me a little bit of Flex
I
Glue
just
around
don't
the house,
ever
though.
use those enough.
No, that's fair. I like stuff for
Alrighty.
home repair, though.
Number 2, the dog grooming glove. You put the glove on your hand. It's got the stuff that the little spikes, and I de-shed my dog Sadie. I do it every week. Every week. Love it. Fantastic product.
No, that's a good call. Number 1 for me is easy and the thing I would buy amongst over anything else. Give me a slap chop. I would love to buy a slap chop. Makes chopping up things and vegetables super easy. Give me a slap
that
chop.
That doesn't make sense. Number 1, I used it yesterday. My tack light flashlight. That
That's
thing
fair.
is so damn bright. It's incredible. That thing will light up a neighborhood. Love it. Hit us up on our Big O Tires text line. Coming up next, we'll hear from Patrick Mahomes. that whenever I hear this song, the first thing I think about is Guitar Hero.
No, I think it's completely okay. But for those listening on the streams, we can't play our music over the streams because music rights are sometimes annoying. We bumped back in with some the heavy guitar riff from Freebird by Leonard Skinner. No,
Yes.
Jake, it's completely okay that Guitar Hero is the first thing you think of. Whatever makes you think of Freebird by Leonard Skinner is okay.
All I think about is me and my buddies at like 3 a.m. playing Guitar Hero in college, trying
That's a great memory right there.
to beat Freebird on Expert.
Very difficult task.
Yes. Very difficult.
Did you guys ever do it?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah. Oh, there was one day where during finals week, because in finals sometimes you don't have a final for like 2 days. Maybe you got like 2 on Monday. You don't have one on Tuesday.
You sometimes basically have like class for like 2 of 5 days of the week.
There was one day where, no joke, we played Guitar Hero for like 12 straight hours.
That's what you do right there.
Like, you go take a final, you come back and
you play Guitar Hero.
We would drink beer and play Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
I found out you can't play Guitar Hero sober and be good. You gotta have a little bit of loose juice, you know.
Yeah, like any good guitarist of the 80s, you got to be inebriated by something.
Now, there was a point in time where if you got too drunk, you did not play well.
It was a bell curve, essentially. Like there was a midpoint.
There was more so like just the drunker you got, the better you got, until there was a point where, nope, I'm too drunk and you can't function.
Yeah.
But no, Guitar Hero, fantastic game.
Oh, Guitar Hero was also some of the best memories of my life for playing Guitar Hero. There's some great music on those tracks, man.
Yes. Fantastic.
The kids today don't know the beauty of Guitar Hero.
No, they don't. They don't. Just like the kids like you don't know the beauty of original Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo.
Sad that you think I haven't found ways to play that game.
Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't. It hits different.
It hits different when it's not different. Like what first came. I feel you. I feel you.
It does. We got a lot more to get to. We're going to talk with Kellis Robinett coming up in the 2:00 hour. More Royals and their new stadium that will be coming at some point in time. As John Sherman dropped that bomb yesterday at 4:45 in the afternoon. But we heard from head coach Andy Reid. What about Patrick Mahomes? He spoke to the media today.
Patrick, this is obviously a big game in the division. Are you surprised at all that you win this? You'll be 3 games up in the division after all the moves that were made in the West to make this a little more competitive.
Yeah, because you understand, we've played 2 of these teams now. We haven't played Denver yet, but you know that they're great football teams. They just, in football, man, anybody can beat anybody any day. And so it hasn't gone their way in some of these games, these close, hard-fought games. But we understand how good the Chargers are. We're not looking ahead to being 3 games up or whatever it is. We're looking at what can we do to win today so that we can win on Sunday. And so we understand it's going to be a great challenge, and we're going to play our best football if we want to win.
Patrick, I asked Andy about this, but the moves you guys made in the offseason, obviously getting rid of a pretty high caliber player, what was the mindset after that? I asked this because you guys took over the #1 seed. What was the mindset as far as keep striving towards the same goal? Was there a conversation you felt like you had with the players and understood that?
I think guys just understand the culture that Coach Reid has built here over the years. It's bigger than one player. It's bigger than myself. And so what can we do to improve ourselves, to give ourselves the best chance to win? And we understand how great Tyreek is. And I think people see that now in Miami even more than they saw it here, how special of a player that he is. But in this offense, it's about everybody. How can we make each other better? And we've brought new guys in and kind of kept the older guys have gotten bigger roles. And we've done whatever we can to win football games. And that's helped us get this, being the #1 seed now. But how can we continue that and get even better as the season goes on?
Were you pretty confident that both you guys would excel the way that you have once playing with each other?
Yeah, I mean, I saw Tyreek at practice every single day, so I knew that he was going to make plays no matter where he was at, and he got in a great offense with other great players, so it made it easy for him to go out there and show his talent. And then for us, I mean, I knew the guys that we had in our locker room. And like I said at the beginning of the year, man, Coach Reed's had success everywhere. So if I just do what he says, usually good things happen.
Does it surprise you that people seem to get healthy the week of when they come to when you're about to play them? And I believe Mike Williams along with Keenan Allen, they're expected to come back and play this week. Kind of, and then who knows what happens next week?
I mean, it's a good thing to me. I mean, you're playing the best. I mean, every single week we want to play the best. We want to prepare ourselves to make a run in the playoffs, to try to get to the Super Bowl and win it. And if you play the best teams and with their best players and you win, it gives you that confidence that you can continue to get better and better. And whenever you play them in the playoffs, you're ready for it.
Injuries and such, you're going to start the week receiver-wise with Watson, Moore, and Tony. Just that's obviously a little bit different. What gives you the confidence in that group of guys?
Yeah, I mean, we put guys in positions to succeed. And so for me, it's about executing the offense, finding the open guy, and getting the ball out of my hands and letting those guys make plays. And we've seen over the year that these guys can make plays in big moments. And so we'll give them those chances, as well as have some younger guys step up. And then hopefully we can get some guys back later in the week. And if not, we'll be ready to go with whoever's out there.
With Watson, how critical has he been in sort of that underrated role for you guys this season in big spots?
Yeah, I mean, he's made a lot of big catches and big parts in games. He does a great job of blocking. It's crazy. Like in that last game, whenever we had some guys go out there back to back, he was kind of telling guys, hey, you go to this position and you take Juju's role, you take Marquez's role. And he knows every position on the football field, and he just wants to go out there and have success. So having guys like that, and I mean, like that we have in the whole receiving room now, I think we'll be fine of just going out there and executing the offense.
I saw yesterday that you quote tweeted Baldy's video of Jared McKinnon and his blocking ability. Just what do you appreciate most about what he's been able to do to keep you upright in certain moments this season?
Yeah, I mean, he has a great understanding of the protection plan. I mean, everything. That look that we got was kind of an unscouted look that we had gotten early in the season versus the Colts, where they used one of their linebackers to pick the tackle, and then the DN loops around. And earlier in the season, you might go with the linebacker because that's technically your guy, but he passed it off like he was an offensive lineman, man. And so for him, just knowing the protection plan, having that, like I said, that dog to step up and block a defensive end that's 6'5", 6'6", 280, and give me enough time to throw the ball downfield. I mean, that's what it takes in order to be a great team, is everybody doing their job. And it's special for a guy like that to take on that job and do such a great job of it.
Patrick, two more questions. Do you prefer being the top dog to where everybody's coming after you, or did you like it to where you were kind of trying to catch what Buffalo is at the moment? I'll follow up.
I don't really care. I just want to win.
Okay, that's good. That being the case, what has surprised you most? Each week in and week out. Obviously, you coming out of the game Sunday, you see the Minnesota Buffalo game being in the dogfight, and then of course, obviously anything can happen in the NFL, but then Philadelphia losing Monday night to Washington, where people. So, I mean, what has surprised you most when you see week in and week out in the NFL?
It's not anything that surprises me. I mean, I understand it, man. I mean, everybody can beat everybody. I mean, there are great players on every single team in this league, and it's about who executes when it counts the most. And that's why we take situational football it's so important here. It's because it's something that changes games. I mean, everybody has great players. And we really focus on the situations that are going to win games, and we've done a great job this year of winning those situations. But let's keep it going, and whenever we get put in those situations again, let's maximize our opportunity and win more football games.
When you look at surprised what Tony's been able to give you coming in so late.
I wasn't surprised about him making the plays, but just us being able to move him around as much as we have. I mean, it's a testament to him, man. He's really got in here. He's learned. He's learned multiple positions, and we've moved him around now. It's not like he's in that one spot. And so we'll just continue to build on that. We don't want to overwhelm him. We don't want to put too much on his plate. But we're going to keep giving him more and more and more involved in this offense, because it'll make this offense better as a whole as the season goes on.
The Tyreek trade for a second. Was there any thought at the time in your mind that maybe this was going to be a little more of a rebuilding year? Not a complete rebuild, obviously, but any more of a rebuilding year than anything else you've gone through since you've been here?
Not necessarily. Every time I step on that football field, I expect to win. And I think Coach Reed and Brett Veach are going to put guys around me that we're going to go out there and win football games. And I think they've done that. And even though we have young guys, we knew it was going to take time for them to keep getting more and more accustomed to how we do things. But we won some of those tight games early in the year. And I said those are some big wins for us, because those guys will learn even faster. And I think now we can continue to just build, and hopefully we can have the best team going into the playoffs whenever we're ready.
Patrick, just want to ask you about Justin Herbert, another young quarterback, and he was a little bit younger than you, but do you see any of yourself in the way that he plays, or maybe vice versa?
I mean, he's a special arm talent, man. And he throws some passes that I don't think anyone can throw in this league, and that includes myself. I mean, he has a cannon for an arm. You watch it. I watch on film every week because we play similar opponents. And there's some throws you just kind of shake your head because they're that special. And so I understand it'll be a great challenge for us as a team to go up against the Chargers and the talent that they have over there. And so how can we match that intensity? How can we match that talent and go out there and win a football game is what we have to focus on.
Patrick, I know the next man mentality, when a guy goes down, you're obviously not going to quit, right? You keep playing and you got to put it in there, but it changes. The different skill sets change. When Juju comes out and somebody else has to play his role, do you go through a quick mental checklist? Okay, this guy does this better, he does this better, and I'm looking to make different reads based upon what his skill set is?
Not necessarily different reads. I think the coaches do a great job of putting the right guys in the right positions. And so I think you saw right when Juju went out, we put Sky kind of in that inside role, let him catch the ball, get upfield. That was Juju's route, but Sky can do some of those similar type things. So let's put him in that position. If like when McCole came out, we put Justin Watson, we put the Chargers the last time in that same position that it was McCole's route. He was tired, put Justin Watson, another fast guy. He makes a play happen. And so I just rely on my coaches to put guys in the right position. And then I go through the reads, how I'm supposed to go through the reads. And I mean, other than if Kellis is manned up, I give him the ball. But I go through the reads the way I'm supposed to go through the reads, and usually good things happen.
You said it was several years ago when you were on, I've asked you this before, but just get an update. Like when you were on LeBron's The Shop, you said, hey, in a couple of years, I'll really feel it. You were kind of talking about Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. You're 4.5 years in as a starter, 5.5 years in now. Do you feel like you know it all now, that it's reaction the way you were kind of aspiring it to be several years ago?
I think I'm definitely even a step further along with my process, but I still think I have a lot to learn. I mean, there's still certain protections that I get beat on because of the blitzes. There's certain coverages that get me because I don't recognize certain tells. So there's stuff that I can continue to get better at. But I mean, like the struggles like I went through last year, I think are something that you can just build on and learn from. And I think it's helped me be a little bit more patient. But there's still some times like the end of the last game, I threw the pick where I get a little too aggressive. So I try to just kind of maintain that balance of being aggressive, but making the right decision.
Thanks, Patrick.
That is what Patrick Mahomes had to say. You can tell his excitement about Kadarius Toney. We can line him up anywhere, and it's a testament to what he's done as a guy who coming in, that type of thing. Like, you can tell he is pumped about number 19, Kadarius Toney. I mean, he's already exceeded. I said if he got 100 yards receiving, that would be great because we were basing it off Sky Moore.
Yeah.
I think this is more about Kadarius Toney than it is Sky Moore.
I would agree.
But he's already got one touchdown. He's already got over 100 yards. And I mean, that's what makes it exciting, that this might be the Brett Veach diamond in the rough first round draft pick trade, if you will. We know he's found a lot of diamonds in the rough drafting, with Trey Smith and already Justin Watson. Rashad Fenton. Mm-hmm. But he's never really hit on the first round pick where it blew up, right? I think the best one would have been Emmanuel Ogbah. He was a second round pick. It was only for a year.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be for 3.5 years because we'll pick up the 5th year option.
Oh, yeah.
As long as things go the way that they're going.
Yeah.
So that is what Patrick Mahomes had to say today when he met with the media. We'll get a quick time out. We'll finish things off this 1 o'clock hour. Starts 2 o'clock hour. We're going to talk with Kellis Robinett on all things K-State hoops and get some more info in on the Royals and the potential stadium. Finishing up this 1 o'clock hour, did you know that today, 37 years ago, Rick Astley released the album that would live on in infamy? Rickroll, baby.
I did not. Have you ever been Rickrolled, Jake?
Oh, numerous times. There was like a thing back in the day when that was like the thing to do.
Yeah.
Like you'd send an attachment.
Yeah.
That had a different title.
Yeah.
And then it would be, you get Rickrolled.
Yeah.
And then you would save that and send it to all your buddies, and it'd just be a gigantic circle.
Very fun joke.
Fantastic.
Good, harmless fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Hurts nobody.
We need more harmless fun. We do.
I agree.
From the Big O Tires text line, Fulton, got some bad news for you. Big O Tires text line, FYI, copper pans in all caps do not work.
No, I appreciate that, Texter. That saves me from wasting money in an investment. I thank you, Texter. I will now no longer buy those. I'm not devastated. I'm happy. I'd be devastated if I bought it and it didn't work. If you tell me a product won't work before I buy it, I'm not devastated. I'm overjoyed. Because then you just save me money.
Some of those.
So thank you, Texter.
Some of those are too good to be true.
Yeah.
Some of them
some
are not.
Yeah.
Also from the Big O Tires text line on our Everyone Loves the List topic today. It's an image of it's called the bug assault.
Oh yeah.
I have not seen these.
I have a buddy who owns it.
Where it's like salt cubes and you shoot them at flies.
Yeah, it's a toy gun that you shoot salt with, and it's to take out bugs and flies and stuff. A friend of mine owns it, and it works.
It does work.
Yeah, they say it works. Like they're sniping off flies as they're tracking them through the air.
Fly swatter works just as well, but
yeah,
I'm
but it's not as fun.
Not as fun.
Nothing would be as fun as loading up, being like, all right, got him in my sights.
I'm surprised it works. I'm surprised the fly doesn't fly off before it gets hit. Must come out at a pretty good pace.
Yeah, it must have come at a good pace.
But those are some of the as seen on TV on our Big O Tires text line. The bug assault is good.
Yeah,
so that's
awesome.
this is multiple people have now said the bug assault
worth your
works.
investment. Now, I also legitimately wanted to buy one of those. I forgot that started as an seen on TV product and that it counts for the list.
Yeah.
Or it would have made my list had to remember that. I do want one of those.
There's some good ones, man. The Squatty Potty.
The Squatty Potty?
You've never heard of the Squatty Potty?
No.
Oh yeah, that was huge. I think Bed Bath & Beyond sold like 1 billion of those.
Okay.
I am telling you, 2023 Fulton is going to be, we're going to call it the year of enlightenment for Fulton Caster.
I'm so intrigued at what will be the first thing Jake wants me to do when the month of January rolls around.
I don't know. We're going to come up with 52 of them. I might get Brendan involved. We'll get Dan involved.
Thank God McRib's going to be gone by then, because that'd be Brendan's thing. Is I need to try McRib.
No, you need to, because if if I'm going to try it, you have to try it. Yes.
No.
Yep. Yes.
Just because you make a poor decision doesn't mean I have to make a poor decision.
I need to find out if it's ever coming back.
It'll come back at some point.
Well, then I need to talk.
This is a Brett Favre style of retirement.
I need to talk with Brendan because he is by far the McRib expert.
I think he's having it for lunch today.
I need to find out, because if it's like, hey, this is it, we're never making it again, then you and I are trying it. Yes, we are. Yeah. This is going to happen. All right. We got a lot more to get to. Kellis Robinett will join us coming up in the 2:00 hour. Of Mike Duff on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake and Fulton Caster with you. We will get to more of the Royals and the stadium that we'll be moving to at some point in time between now and, 2030 when the lease runs out in the Truman Sports Complex. We'll get to all of that. As always, hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Follow us on Twitter at SportsOn580 is YouTube as well with all game recaps from all the local sports here in Northeast Kansas. But right now, we're going to talk all things K-State We are joined by Kellis Robinett of the Wichita Eagle and the Kansas City Star. He just put out a great little potential landing spot for both K-State in the bowl game and KU. We'll get to that a little bit more as we bring in Kellis Robinett. Follow him on Twitter at Kellis Robinett. Kellis, how are you doing on this cold Wednesday afternoon?
I'm hanging in there, trying to stay warm. How about you?
Doing the same. Have you got your plans and everything ironed out to get to Morgantown?
I do. I don't love flying through Chicago, but I'm going to do it. It's a little bit shorter flight to go Manhattan, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and then drive to Morgantown, then going through Dallas. So I'm going to head out Friday and go up there. I haven't been out that way since before the pandemic. With all the restrictions going on, that's just something that hasn't really seemed necessary. So I'm excited to get back out there, but I will say staying all those stops, flying from Manhattan to Chicago, Pittsburgh, and then driving to West Virginia and doing that all in reverse doesn't sound great. But I'm still happy to do it. Should be a good time.
All righty. The Kansas State Wildcats, more impressive win, 48-0 over Oklahoma State or 31-3 at Baylor?
I'm going to go 31-3 at Baylor, and I say that for a few reasons. I mean, overall, if you're looking at just the butt kicking, if you're looking from that aspect of it, yeah, you say Oklahoma State, the margin was bigger. But I think Baylor was more impressive because it was on the road instead of at home, and Baylor was playing their best football at the time of this game, unlike Oklahoma State, who came in really limping. Kind of hard to know it at the time because Spencer Sanders played, but he was ailing. They were missing a bunch of starters. They went on the road the next week after losing that game and were no match for Kansas. You could tell they were just beat up. So I think looking back, there's a little, maybe it's a little more explainable that they just wiped the floor with Oklahoma State. There's none of those qualifiers against Baylor. Baylor was playing great football. They'd won 3 in a row. They were running all over people. I thought they were in a great position to try and reach the Big 12 championship game, honestly. But Kansas State came in and said, no, we're not going to have any of that. We're going to take control of our own destiny back in this race. And as soon as Will Howard came in that game, he looked fantastic. The defense just shut Baylor down the whole way. That's something I did not expect. I knew Kansas State's defense was good. I didn't think they could limit one of the best rushing attacks in the conference to that few numbers. But looking back, it's kind of impressive what they've been able to do. They've played in 4 of their games this season. They've limited teams without a single offensive touchdown. And it really would have been even more except for a touchdown in garbage time on the final play of the game against Missouri. So when the Wildcats bring their defense, they're really hard to beat, and they brought it against Baylor, and they won big. So I'm going to go with that one.
Let's stay with the defense then, since you mentioned that. What has made it work here against Oklahoma State and against Baylor, and the second half against Texas, because they were really good in the second half against Texas. What's been the key in your mind?
Yeah, it's interesting because when they've lost, it's been because teams have run all over them. Tulane did it, TCU did it, and that first half against Texas. Oh boy, you and me might as well have been out there trying to tackle Bijan Robinson. They were not bringing that guy down. And then, they go out against Baylor, totally flip the switch. They're stopping everything. Baylor can't get anything going. They shut out Oklahoma State before that. I think really it's just a confidence thing, an alignment thing. And also I would say a healthy Daniel Green thing. He was back fully healthy for the first time in, a few weeks against Baylor, and putting him out there and letting him roam the middle of the defense, I think really opened up a lot of things for everybody else. And that's really the best explanation I can get. It hurts that they're losing Kobe Savage now. They're going to have to find a new safety. Kobe's been really good, but this last game they were at full health and it showed.
Yeah, that is the one question that I do wonder about this defense, because Savage was a hard-hitting, fly-around type of guy. Who replaces him, and how big of a loss is this?
Well, it's a big loss. I would say he was probably the quarterback of the defense. Really the only person I've talked to on Kansas State's entire roster who seemed more knowledgeable of what was going on than Savage was Deuce Vaughn, and it really wasn't by that big of a margin. The guy lives in the film room. You ask him, hey, how did you come up with this interception? And he'll read you off a minute and a half answer going over like every single thing he saw, knew he could anticipate the guy's route before he even lined up. It's very interesting how smart the guy is. And on top of that, he's a hard hitter. He makes receptions. He makes tackles. Really good player on the field on top of his brain. So I don't really think you do replace him. There's nobody they can put in there who can play at that same level. It'd be like losing Felix up front of the defensive end. Yeah, you can still put somebody in there who can play well, but not quite at that level. They're going to try to go with Sincere Mason, Drake Cheatham, TJ Smith, kind of a rotation of those guys at that position. The good thing is they've all played before. Before Kobe got here, we were thinking TJ Smith might be the starter. So it's not like they're bringing a guy in off the street to go play in this game. But it's still quite a bit to ask for those guys to come out and give the same production that Savage was, because he was really good.
We're talking with Kellis Robinett, covers the K-State beat for the Wichita Eagle and the Kansas City Star. All right, let's go to the offensive side of things. When Dan Marino got put into the game after Adrian Martinez got hurt, were you thinking they were going to score 30 or 40 points?
50, if not 60, right? I think you never want to see anybody get hurt. And I'm certainly hoping that Adrian recovers and everything. But Will going into that game was a blessing in disguise for the Kansas State offense. He's been the best quarterback they've had for a while now, and he was just cooking. As soon as he got in, you could see the difference. The offense moved faster. Colin Klein seemed to call more aggressive plays. The passing game just totally opened up. Ben Sinnott, a walk-on from Iowa, is out there catching all these passes, looking like the next Travis Kelce or something. It's just wild to think about where Will Howard was last year, where fans just groaned every time he came into the game, and now it's like the total opposite. Like, oh yeah, all right, Will Howard's in the game, we're gonna win now. Or yeah, you can call him Dan Marino, whatever you want. He's earned it.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, you throw for 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. You're completing 64% of your passes. I mean, that's kind of Dan Marino-esque, which was wild. And Dan Marino's a big guy. Will Howard's a big guy. People don't realize that. Like, if you walk by Will Howard, you go, holy crap, that's a quarterback? Like, they don't realize how big Will Howard really is. I mean, he is all of 6'5" and 230. That is a big quarterback. And go ahead.
I was going to say he is big, and not only is he big, his whole family is big. Kansas State's actually recruiting his little brother out of Pennsylvania. And maybe this doesn't seem surprising because you said he's so big, but his little brother plays offensive line, so he's even bigger.
Yeah, that's why he's hard to bring down tackling wise. Now they're not going to run him because you can't risk him getting hurt, and that has shown because he only had 5 rushing attempts against Oklahoma State and 2 in the game against Baylor. But when I look at Will Howard, the downfield passing game has been so much more impressive. That's the difference to me. Like, he looks not just, first level, it's second and third level to me.
Yeah, he's got a really good deep ball. He can hit people in the flat when Deuce Vaughn gets out there. He knows, when the blitz is coming to throw into it, but he also knows how to stay back there in the pocket and get the ball downfield. And what really impressed me the most of what he did against Baylor is some of those throws. He was on the money with all of his throws, but not only, it wasn't like he always had a clean pocket to throw out of. There were a lot of times where blitzes were coming right at him. He knew he was going to get hit. He still threw it, still put it on the money anyway. And that touchdown he threw to Sinnott, the first one, was through such a tight window. Initially, when he threw it in the press box, I was thinking, oh no, that's going to be a pick. But no, I mean, there was a tiny little window that you would expect Peyton Manning or Tom Brady to throw the ball into, and there's Will Howard doing the exact same thing. So he has really grown in that department, no doubt.
Do you think now I'm with you. You don't want anybody to get hurt. I really, really don't. And I truly believe unless you are an elite type of guy where you are just so much better than your backup, you can lose your job because of injury. Now, if this were different, let's say Adrian Martinez was a junior, I think this would be a much more difficult decision. But Adrian Martinez is just he's a 1-year guy. That to me makes it even easier is, hey, you know what? We're going to go with whoever's playing best. Now, that is all out the window because we know Adrian Martinez is hurt and he might not make it back, for the KU game, and he might not even make it back for the bowl game. But do you think they would have gone? Do you think Kleiman would have gone with Will Howard if Martinez was healthy?
That's a great question. I think no. I think I would have advised him to go with Howard, regardless of how healthy or unhealthy Adrian was, because as I said on your show and written over the past few weeks, I think he's the best quarterback on the roster right now. He's just too hot to put on the bench. I mean, we've all seen it. He's just playing at such a high level. I wouldn't want anybody else out there unless you got Mahomes backing him up. But we've seen all season that whenever Adrian has been healthy, this coaching staff has favored him. They put him out there against Texas. They put him out there against Baylor, even though Will had just thrown for all those yards in those other games.
Mhm.
So, I think they wanted to protect his red shirt. I think if Adrian was healthy, I think even Will wanted to protect his red shirt. But this made a tricky decision, an easy decision, and I wonder if in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to work out better for the Wildcats.
Kansas State wins their next 2 games. They play in the Big 12 title game. TCU wins their next 2 games. The Cats are guaranteed to play in the Sugar Bowl. Like, that's what's crazy about this. Like, if K-State wins their next 2 games and plays in the Big 12 title game, and TCU wins the next 2 games, they go undefeated. So they're 12-0, taking on Kansas State. Whoever wins that, the K-State's guaranteed to go there. Let's say TCU beats them. They go 13-0. I think they're going to make the playoff. Now, granted, some people will say, well, no, a 1-loss Tennessee team or a 1-loss Ohio State or Michigan team should get in over an undefeated TCU team. I don't think that's going to happen. So, crazier things, I guess, have happened. But it feels like as long as TCU, like K-State fans need to be cheering for TCU these next 2 games to win. So that way, if TCU makes the playoff, you go to the Sugar Bowl, even if you lose the game.
Yeah, I agree. If you want to party in New Orleans, you want to celebrate New Year's in Cajun country on Bourbon Street, yes, absolutely. You want TCU to go in that game undefeated, and you want the Sugar Bowl thing locked up one way or another. Kansas State has not been to a New Year's Six Bowl since 2012 when Colin Klein took him to the Fiesta Bowl when he was a senior. So this would end that drought if they could get back to one now. And yeah, on top of that, I mean, you want to play TCU at full strength, right? Even if you, regardless of what happens in that game, if you beat them, it's going to look a lot better if they're undefeated. And if you lose to them, like you said, and they're undefeated, then you get the nice consolation prize for the Sugar Bowl. Yeah. So it's very interesting. It sure looks like that's where they're going to end up as long as they can win these next 2 games. But I do think that TCU, any undefeated team from your conference, I think is pretty much a lock to make the playoff because they're an undefeated Big 12 champion. Even if you could argue other teams are better, they're still going to put them in. I think the debate is more what happens if TCU loses one of these next 2 games, but then wins the Big 12, and you're looking at a 1-loss TCU Big 12 champ, Tennessee 1 loss, Alabama 2 losses, USC 1 loss, things like that is where it gets really tricky. But I do think an undefeated team will make it.
K-State takes on West Virginia. What's the biggest concern for you in this game against West Virginia, a team that beat Baylor at home? They beat Oklahoma. This is a scary team there in Morgantown.
Yeah, and Chris Kleiman has never won in West Virginia. Kansas State overall has not won there since 2014 when Jake Waters was the quarterback. So it's not been the easiest matchup for the Wildcats in any way, shape, or form. Will Howard even talked this week about how badly they played 2 years ago when they went out there, and they were ranked. They were on a nice little winning streak. West Virginia got them pretty good, and they lost all the rest of their games. You could tell that really still stuck with him. But looking at just this game, I would say West Virginia switching quarterbacks last week and getting such a big spark out of the guy that's in there has to be interesting because you've been watching JT Daniels all season. That's the guy everybody's been preparing for. And now all of a sudden you've got this running quarterback who led them to victory against Oklahoma. Now you got to prepare for 2 different players. Which one do they use? It kind of reminds me of a few years ago when they came in here and did the same thing. They switched to a different quarterback that was unexpected, and they won a close game here in Manhattan. That always makes things interesting. And, Neil Brown, it kind of looks like he's going to not be back next season because they already fired their athletic director. But if there's any chance of him coming back, he's going to have to win this game, the next one, make it to a bowl. So they're going to be going all out to try and win. So those would be my concerns.
Alrighty, I got a K-State basketball question for you. What have you liked so far about the undefeated Jerome Tang Wildcats?
Well, I like the energy. I really like the defense. And you've seen those two things in all the games, even going back to the Washburn exhibition when you were here. I think you put it best. You know, they're Baylor in purple. They're baby Baylor. They're right where they were at the beginning of the Scott Drew era. They're already fitting the mold there. So you know they're going to show up and play defense. You know they're going to play hard. You know they're going to run. And from that aspect, you really like what they've done because they came out and basically just whooped Texas Rio Grande Valley with energy, took a big lead on Cal with energy. Things got ugly in that game because execution faltered in the second half, but they've won on size, depth, and athleticism so far, and you can't coach those things, so they've got it.
Keontae Johnson, he's going to be the real deal, don't you think?
Yeah, he looks good. He made some really good plays against Texas Rio Grande Valley, and then that second game at Cal, he was kind of their go-to guy, especially when Cal was making a comeback in the second half. You know, there were a few times where the half-court offense was really bogging down. He basically said, "Get out of my way, give me the ball, make something happen." Sparked enough offense for them to win that game. And yeah, he looks good. He's maybe still not quite where he was at Florida, but he's on track. I really like what I see.
Alrighty, where do you put the 5:30 tip-off time coming up tomorrow in Kansas City against the Roos?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I wonder why they ended up doing it. They just want to see who the true fans are, I guess. If you can make it to a 5:30 game against the team formerly known as UMKC, you deserve a stamp when you walk in that says, "I'm a K-State basketball fan."
Alrighty, my last two for the road here for you, Kellis. Our list today that we ranked was as seen on TV. Have you ever bought or really used or liked a product as seen on TV? I've actually done 4 of them, and I use 3 of them almost every single week.
I can't really say that I have. I know my mom's into all that stuff. Every time I go down to see her, she's always got something she ordered off QVC or some weird station. But no, I'm sorry. I don't really have a good answer for you here. I don't know that I've bought anything that I've seen on TV and said, "Man, I got to have that dishwasher or something." I've not done it.
You've not? Okay.
What's an example?
Okay. I bought one time the Tac Light flashlight. It is awesome, dude. That thing is so bright. It is fantastic. I also bought the dog grooming glove where you put the glove on your hand. It's got all the spikes, and then you just rub your dog's back and belly and everything, and it picks up the hair. That thing has worked fantastic. I use that every week for my dog. And then the furniture moving pads. You ever seen those things where you put the furniture moving pads underneath the legs on a furniture, and you just slide them smoothly across the floor? Oh man, those things are awesome.
Okay, well, I do own some of them. Moving Men, I do own those. So,
okay,
that's what I own.
Yeah, that, and then of course, way back in the day, I bought a Big Mouth Billy Bass.
I missed out on that one.
That thing still is fantastic. I can't find it, but I know it's in my house somewhere, or it's at my parents' house because we bought it from my dad. All right, last thing I got for you. K-State, what is their final record for football?
I saw a stat on one of the stat websites that said Kansas State only had like a 29% chance to win in their last 2 games, which I thought was pretty low. They're favored by more than a touchdown in West Virginia. I assume they'll be favored by about the same when Kansas comes here. I know they're not gimmies, but I think they win them both. They've come this far in the Big 12 race. I don't see them faltering now. I think they win both. They go 9-3.
9-3. What about the Big 12 title game and then the bowl game? So do they get to 11-3 or do they go 12-4? Or excuse me, 10-4?
Well, you put me on the spot with that one. It's hard for me to pick against TCU. I've tried to do it before. Every week I think they're in for a letdown. they come out and kick somebody's butt. I thought they were going down to Texas, and they made Texas just look awful in that game. So I don't know. Maybe they're just a team of destiny. Nobody can beat them. I think that the Frogs are your Big 12 champs, even if they play K-State in a rematch with Will Howard healthy the whole time. It'd be a good game, but right now I'd probably side with the Frogs. And then if Kansas State played LSU in the Sugar Bowl, I'd maybe go K-State there. They sure would not be. I know they played LSU's JV squad last year in the Texas Bowl, but they put a whooping on. Would not be intimidated by them at all. So I guess I would say 10-4 would be my record.
Kellis, thank you so much for the time. Safe travels all the way out there to Morgantown, and keep track of how many times you hear Country Roads by John Denver.
All right. I'll keep a notepad and I'll let you know.
Kellis Robinett of the Wichita Eagle and the Kansas City Star does a fantastic job. Great little preview for both KU and K-State. Would you rather go to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl all the way in Phoenix or the Armed Forces Bowl? The Armed Forces Bowl would be December 22nd.
Where?
Dallas, Texas.
I don't have like a big one that sticks out to me more of what I'd want to do. I think I would lean
The Amon G. Carter Stadium.
Okay, so you go TCU. I lean Phoenix and going to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl only because I personally have been in Dallas more than I've been in Phoenix.
I mean,
so I might go to Phoenix.
Much cheaper trip to Dallas.
It would. No, I understand.
Can't drive to Phoenix.
I mean, you can. It's just forever and a day.
I don't know if you can.
No, you can. I have a friend of mine who drove from Wichita to Phoenix, Arizona.
Well, technically, you can drive from, Argentina up to Alaska.
Well, no, like it's a doable drive. It's not like a 23-hour drive.
It's 20. What it takes
from right here, we're right here in Topeka to Phoenix is 17 hours.
18 hours.
Sure, 18 hours.
Well, you just lied. It says 18 hours.
I'm looking at 1742.
From where?
From here.
What site?
My Apple Maps.
Oh, that's the reason why.
Oh, I'm so sorry that your Google Maps that you use is superior.
Google Maps.
Yeah, okay, so 18 hours to 17. That's doable. It is
18 hours.
It's technically doable.
That's gross.
Oh, it is. Definitely it is. I don't disagree. You're still wanting to put that into 2 days.
Yeah, you can't. 18 hours in one day? No, you can't do that.
You can. You shouldn't. Yes, I understand travel would be easier if it was Dallas or Phoenix. I'd still probably pick Phoenix.
If I'm you, I would want to go to Dallas. So it's only a 7-hour drive. That one's easy. I mean, that's 4 days of travel then. Ooh, that's tough. Coming up next, we'll get to the Royals and their new stadium and when and the biggest issues of bringing it downtown. We'll get to that coming up.
I'm here for Pioneer Brands.
Which means a lot more when it comes to the state and everything. But will we see a big Royals move here soon? Is it Teoscar? Is that how you pronounce it?
Teoscar.
Teoscar.
So just, Oscar, but say T in front of it. Teoscar.
Teoscar Hernandez is traded from the Blue Jays to the Mariners in a 3-player deal. It's a big trade. Real big trade. I'm wondering, does JJ Picollo do anything of substance with a trade?
That's a good question, because the Royals are on that cusp of where they made a big trade before. They were about this area, not perfectly this area, but about this spot when they pulled the trigger on the James Shields deal.
Correct.
Back in 2013. And the thing is, similar to then, you have the assets to do it. You have a surplus of young bats. Now, some of the ones that people are more willing to trade, I'm not personally willing to trade, but you have a little bit of a, because it's you can kind of do what the Mariners just did. The Mariners need a middle of the order bat. That's why they got Teoscar Hernandez. They traded from a position of strength in their bullpen because they have a lot of good arms, and so they could send a couple off. They're still fine, and now they made their team better.
You know what we need? We need everything.
That is true.
We could use a third baseman.
Well, you need a shortstop more than you need a third baseman, because you can just have Bobby play third base. That's the best plan.
You need a third baseman, shortstop, either one. I'm all right with Bobby playing shortstop. I had no problem with that.
The defense that I saw last year, I wouldn't want to see for a full year, but
I think he'll get better. He's a rookie. But if you want a shortstop, fine. A shortstop.
You need someone on the left side of the infield.
You need pitching. You need bullpen help. You need a lot of help. So I would settle for anything. But I don't see JJ Picollo going out and his first major player move is trading because in order to get somebody good, you got to give up somebody good.
Yeah.
Now, I don't consider the trade of the what do you call it, the draft pick. It was
the compensation pick.
It wasn't compensation.
Well, it's competitive balance.
Competitive balance. I couldn't think of it. Yeah, that's right. The competitive balance pick for
Drew Waters.
I don't think that counts because it was a big time move, but you're not giving up a known commodity. You're giving up an unknown.
You're giving up a draft pick.
Whereas if you're gonna do something like getting a Teoscar Hernandez, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you get a Teoscar Hernandez, but he plays shortstop or he's a pitcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to give up something.
Yeah.
What is he gonna give up? And how does that work? I just don't see him doing that in like right away. If that makes any, I just don't see him doing that.
I see. It comes down to what he out and the JJ McCall and Jen Sherman kind of said it. If they don't feel they're close yet, they're not going to start making those gigantic swings, but they will when it's time. It's all about timing there, but I mean, the fact of the matter is, you still technically have 2 first basemen and know where to put the second one. I mean, you technically have a roster crunch with Nick Prado and Vinny Pasquantino. Now, you can try and put Prado in the outfield, but that's a little bit different. And Vinny is stuck between 2 spots of first base and DH. If there's a trade candidate, it's one of those 2 to me as top. And I like both those guys. I would like both those guys to never leave.
Yeah.
But if I were to trade from a position of strength, is what you should do, that's one of those areas because, well, you don't really need 2 elite first basemen.
No. Well, and they're not elite yet.
Well, a high-level prospect first baseman. That's the better word to use.
I'm with you there. Yeah. I wonder if something like that's going to happen here. Here at the GM meetings, and then the winter meetings will be coming up in a couple weeks.
I just hope the run on starting pitching is going to begin sooner rather than later, and I just hope the Royals don't get left behind in at least a few low value, good value, low price options. I hope they're not waiting to jump into the bargain bin.
Justin Verlander?
Yeah, that's a no.
You don't think he's going to be very good?
No, he will be. They ain't affording him.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you'd like him, right?
I'd take it.
Yeah,
they ain't affording it, though.
You like Jacob deGrom?
Yes, but they ain't affording it.
Speaking of affording it, they can afford it. They can afford paying for their own stadium. We'll get to that coming up next. get into the wormhole and apparently just hot in the streets right now for the T Swift concert tickets. Apparently that's a big thing right now.
No,
I didn't either, but man, my entire social media is people are not happy right now. T Swift tickets apparently very expensive right now and not going well. We have also found out that the listening audience of this show very anti.
I'll say, Jake, we have to be careful. We're going to make some people upset. We're bringing up Taylor Swift.
Very anti T Swift.
There's certain members of this audience are getting real mad that her name's been brought up on our airwaves.
Whew. By the way, there is someone on the Big O Tires text line that made the drive in a single day
from Phoenix to back here to Topeka.
Yep. I was with a friend going to pick up a Harley, or I like to call them Davidsons.
Okay.
I feel bad for Davidson. Like everybody says, oh, I want a Harley. Well, technically it's Harley Davidson, but nobody ever says Davidson. So the next time someone brings up motorcycle, ask them if it's a Davidson.
No, I'm going to use the word Harley because that's the phrase that's usually used to describe those vehicles. At least that make of the vehicle.
It's unfortunate for Davidson. Anyways, he said, you get to Tucumcari, New Mexico, which funny, I know where that's at.
I don't.
And it's terrible. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ooh, you can, nope. That's why we invented planes.
Truly.
That's why we invented planes. Yesterday, John Sherman finally told everybody who's a Royals fan that we are not going to have the K in the future. We don't know when. I think it would be a surprise if it's before 2027. You with me on that one?
Depends on groundbreaking, but yeah, I'd say 2027 is the earliest.
The earliest. Like,
because we always go with this idea it's about 3 years to get a stadium built. And I don't think they're starting until 2024. So, then the idea, maybe they start in 27. Like, unless they really speed up this process. I mean, we're almost to 23.
Yeah, exactly. You got the 23 season, the 24 season. Then maybe after these last 2 years, you got then they start building. So then you got 25 season being built, 26 season being built, and then 27 season. So I think the 27 season will be the last year for the K.
Okay.
That's what I think. And I think there's two ways to look at this. One, it is how it's going to be, furnished or purchased and how it's going to be supplied. Who's going to pay for it? And then I really don't care, where it is. Like, it doesn't affect us a whole lot when it comes to location. If it's downtown, great. If they move it, a little further south of I-70, whatever. That one doesn't really bother me. Like what it looks like. I would suggest keep Crown Vision, something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
You got to incorporate some type of fountains. Outside of that, whatever. That's not a whole big deal. If I lived in Jackson County, I would be frustrated that not only have I done Chiefs and Royals renovations, now you're asking me to help pay for another Royals brand new project. It's not just the stadium. They want to build a whole shooting match.
Yeah,
type of thing.
It's a project because their idea is not only do they want to build a stadium, they want to build essentially what you can term an entertainment village around it of, shops and bars and hotels, and they want to have housing by there as well. People can live right by the stadium, and different things like that, which is what a lot of downtown ballparks have done. Like new wave downtown ballparks, this is what they do, is they don't just have the ballpark, they have kind of an economic investment around it to try and offset some costs and things like that.
Says here in this letter from John Sherman, going forward with this process would result in the largest public-private development project in Kansas City history, expected to be $2 billion as currently envisioned. Construction of this new ballpark district could create 20,000 jobs, 1.4 billion labor income, and an estimated 2.8 billion in economic output, as well as spur on adjacent investment. We anticipate that the inaugural year of the new ballpark will drive approximately 185 million more in regional economic output than the K does today. Greater regional visitation will sustain more than 600 new jobs. A new ballpark also could spur meaningful new investments around it. That is what he says. All of that is just word salad to say, hey, this is the reason why you need to invest in this. Hey, look at all the great things are going to happen if you do this. It doesn't mention how much money John Sherman is going to make. John Sherman, I hope he's a different owner. I hope he does things the right way. So far, John Sherman has. During COVID, they never laid off anybody. They didn't do that at all. And I think that's exceptional. It really is. When you had half the teams just wiping off half their employees. No one took a single pay cut where, we know how many people end up taking pay cuts across the way or laying off people, right? I mean, hell, our station did. So that's great. I just hate hey, look over here, something flashy, something shiny, but really it's, well, I'm going to get, $1 billion of taxpayer funded money when they could do this all themselves. I mean, you're a billionaire, you bought the team, and you've got another minority interest group of owners. Like, if you're really like, hey, we're going to do this, and you say, well, we're going to create all these jobs. Well, you could do that yourself, but apparently you need other taxpayer money. They don't need that. You could take out a loan. You could do that just like everybody else does. So that's what bothers me about this spin job of, oh yeah, look at all we can do for the area. I don't even know if that's true. I mean, has anybody ever looked at, and maybe we need to look more into this, where, hey, look how much money, does this truly generate that much money? Does it truly generate those type of jobs? Well, then the city and individual people shouldn't be paying for this. I liken it to the Topeka Zoo Discovery Center vote just last week. I voted yes for it because I've got 2 kids. We go to the zoo. We go to the Discovery Center. My son and daughter love it. So that's why I voted yes. Hey, better zoo? Sweet. I'm willing to do that. Some people don't. But the zoo doesn't have a guy like John Sherman who's got $1 billion in his back pocket. They don't do, you don't own a baseball team as a hobby. You do it because you want to make money. Because if you wanted if you just did it to win, well, then we wouldn't have how many teams have under $80 million payrolls when we know that they're operating in the black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So that's what makes me frustrated. I honestly don't have any other negative besides that. I really don't. Downtown ballparks are a lot of fun.
Yes, they are.
Coors Field, a lot of fun. Target Field, a lot of fun. Busch Stadium, I can't say anything nice about the Cardinals, but it's okay. It's all right. Wrigley, a lot of fun.
Wrigley's great.
I've never been to San Diego, the Padres. I've been down there. A lot of fun. I don't see a negative. I really, really don't. Do I like the K? Yes. If they would kept the K, would I be happy? Yeah, I like the K. But if they're going to go downtown, there's no negative. There's 2 negatives, and people are complaining about those negatives are just, those are the people who, hey, here's a free Frosty from Wendy's. They're going to be like, oh, it's the catch. No, it's just, here's a free Frosty. Like, it's a lot of fun. If you've never been to a downtown ballpark and had a good time with it, then you don't really know. Like, parking, it's not that big a deal. How many people, are you really going to get upset about parking over, you have to walk 15 minutes
when you already have to do that sometimes at Truman.
Exactly. And how many games do people go to a year? I think the most I've ever gone to in a year is like 5. So you're really going to be that upset about a 15-minute walk 5 times a year? Like, this is where people just like to complain. You know, like tailgating. You can still tailgate. Like, I don't understand that. Like, help me out here. Like,
right. As someone who thinks tailgating is vastly overrated, I got nothing for you.
But you park there somewhere in an open lot or whatever.
Yeah.
Open up a table and tailgate.
The only people who I will hear gripes about for things that could impact the congestion of the city are residents of that city. And at that point, talk to your local leaders, make yourself heard, and make this be built in a way that doesn't cause problems for your city. But if you're just a casual fan who's going to drive into town for it, nothing's going to be made worse by going downtown. In fact, honestly, a lot of things will be made better.
I'm with you. Like, I like
if you are a
non-resident
non-resident of Kansas City, you should honestly support this outside of just Sherman should pay and foot most of the bill.
But
like,
we don't need like that. That's why, hey, it's going to be 20 minutes closer.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get to downtown Kansas City from my house in 50 minutes.
Yeah. It's closer.
Like, we're pro downtown stadium.
Oh, I'm very pro downtown.
We're pro downtown.
This is the move I wanted.
I just wanted to win.
Yeah. So that.
And hey, this isn't going to cost me any money.
No, it's not.
It doesn't cost me any money. It won't. And so, and
we're not residents of Jackson County.
Nope. So part of me is like, Jackson County, that's your problem. Coming up next, we'll wrap things up with the mic drop. All right, Fulton, what is your mic drop?
Personally, I'm super excited the Royals are going to move downtown. I think it's going to be a good time. A new stadium's going to be cool. Don't worry. They'll have all the little things that everyone's really freaked out about losing at the K. The K is cool. It's not historically amazing like all these other 100-year-old stadiums and other places.
It's not like Fenway or Wrigley.
Yeah, it's fine to move on from it. It's going to be a good time. The only annoyance is Sherman shipped a foot most of the bill. But outside of that, y'all can complain all you want. It's going to be fine. And yes, should they put a better team on the field? They should. And they will, but be patient.
What's the name going to be?
Whatever advertiser pays the most money.
Yeah, because they're going to.
Because trust me, folks, that stadium is getting an advertiser.
Yeah. My final word, KU basketball won yesterday. That's a good win, man. Really good win. Shout out Jalen Wilson. Coming up is 580 Sports Talk.
Get dependable